Hey everyone, this is Molly. Welcome back to my channel if you're new, or the opposite. um, Hi. If you don't know how these videos work, I just turn on the camera. I have a topic in mind, usually comes to mind after I've meditated, and I just feel inspired to share what Spirit or Source wants me to share today. So it's a collection of inspiration from my own life, and then also a bit of a channeled message for you all today. So I hope that everyone who wants to be a part of this message feels called to be here, enjoys it, and let's just get into it. So the message that was coming through to me today was about how a lot of us, I think, are working to heal our minds and, perhaps our bodies as well, just that mind-body integration. And healing is a really wonderful thing. And I think that I've gotten excited about this on my channel before, talking about how healing isn't a place that we arrive at, and that doesn't mean that we will never get to experience the joys of being healed. We can tap into the energy of being healed right now and today. And so that message that I wanted to share with you is about how a still mind is a healthy mind. It comes into health naturally just by coming into stillness. And so what I mean by that is, when we meditate, when we're present, when we have the connection with Source or Spirit or our higher self, that feels grounding, then all of those compulsions or behaviors that have previously plagued us go away in that moment. This is a really powerful thing, I think, because a lot of the times we want to be sure that we are free from ever having another anxiety attack or getting really angry at someone again. And I just felt really called to make this message here today to let you know that you always have access to your healed state of mind. And whenever you choose to tap into that, you can. And so, although it may be a bit contradictory because you're sitting here watching a YouTube video, maybe you're even listening to this YouTube video and doing 2 or 3 other things at once, I would really encourage you just for a minute to close your eyes and to practice stillness with me. Just for a couple seconds. Let's just do it together, breathing in and slowly breathing out. When you come into stillness in this moment, what is it that you notice? Or don't notice, maybe more accurately? Because I notice that when I am able to come into stillness, it's less of eliminating something bad and more of being present with the perfection that is already here. And so then there's a lot less fears and frustrations that can control and try to influence us to engage in impulsive behaviors. And when we are constantly distracted, which is something that I love to talk about on this channel, as it's something that I'm working through in my dharma, whatever, karma, whatever, working through my stuff, my just bag of stuff that I got, I notice that distraction is a temporary pleasure that brings me away from an eternal pleasure that is always present. The eternal pleasure of stillness, of acceptance, of beauty. And so let that be a message today. As we find our still mind, we find healing. And so I think that's what I mean too when I say healing isn't a place that we arrive at, because you don't get to just grab stillness and have it forever. We're always going to be distracted again. We're always going to have the impulse arise. And as we make the choice to practice stillness more often, we build up capacity in our hearts and our minds and the connection between the two to have a space between us and those reactions. We always will still be human, but there becomes a more almost habituated, I hesitate to use the word habituated because that kind of has a negative connotation, but just a habituated response of noticing that we are not those impulses and reactions. They are arising in us, and we can observe them. And as we come to stillness, we have a healthy mind. We have a wise mind. We are in connection with what is true and what has always been. And so we can bring love to the part of us that is having that reaction too. We actually don't need to suppress the reaction, which is a really beautiful thing. And it may sound counterintuitive to what I'm saying, but to practice stillness is not to push anything down or away. It's to observe it and to hold it gently and hopefully to hold it lovingly. You know, of course you feel this way. You're welcome to feel this way. You're welcome to have the impulse to do that thing. Let's practice some stillness and observe what arises as I just feel the intensity of what it's like to have this emotion right now. Can I give myself the space I need to be held in this emotion? Just like I was a friend to myself, right? And so in stillness, we don't have to use the brain that has been conditioned throughout our whole lives, that has what many of us understand to be traumas. And we also don't have to go in and unknot all of the traumas that have ever occurred through our entire lives. We just get a moment of being with it. This is what's arising for me. This is familiar. I recall having this arise for me in the past. Maybe even being in touch with those traumas while we are still, and we are healthy, and we are healed in that moment. And I think that coming into a capacity of being healed in the moment is much more sustainable than arriving at a place where we are healed forever. I'm not sure there are people who actually believe that we can be healed forever, but just in case there are, and you're wanting to be perfect and you're wanting to have the slate cleaned of your mind before you can start living your life, you don't have to do that. You can just breathe right now, and ideally giving yourself some space from whatever's going on. I know we don't always have the availability for that. Maybe you have like kids running around you and screaming, or maybe you're stuck in traffic and it's just a situation that you're in. Okay. Bring stillness to that. Bring awareness to that. Doesn't mean you have to close your eyes. Sometimes we can't, and that's okay too. But whatever stillness that you can bring, whatever slowness you can intentionally incorporate in that moment will bring you closer to awareness and having some space in between you and that reaction. So if you're looking for healing, what's so cool is that even though you can do the healing work, you can go do all these different healing modalities, and they're beautiful and wonderful, and I encourage you to do whatever form of self-love you'd like to practice in that way. You don't have to wait until those things have worked to be healed. You can just slow down enough to see that at your core you are healed, and you always have access to that. That can never be taken away from you. So you don't need to be fixed. You're already perfect. And I send you well wishes on expanding capacity to tune into this part as often and frequently as you would like to, and strengthening those neural pathways as you do so that it becomes a more natural practice to recall that you are already healed in this still moment, and that you do not need to serve anything other than your highest self. You can release all obligation to be or perform anything else in this moment. Be free from all past conditions and arrive today in this moment aware of what is truth for you and what is truth for the spirit that surrounds you with love. Thank you for being with me.